Your favorite film is awful.
Hello, and welcome to Your Favourite Film is Awful, the show where we get other people's favourite films and defend them against negative reviews. However, we're not doing that today, and to explain what we're doing is going to be my great friend, Charlie. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm good, my man. What we're doing today, ladies and gentlemen, is we are ranking our top 10 films of 2020, the disastrous year that is 2020. We are going to rank the very few movies that we saw last year and put them into a top 10.
I am so excited for this, though. Like, top 10 with Charlie and Luke, because our lists are going to be completely different based on the fact that there's no way on earth we were watching the same films in 2020. Like, there's no way. But before we get into that, we need like our preamble, our getting to know each other conversation, which is more for the people than for us. Do you have any like honourable mentions, or have you seen any films of 2021 that are worth noting?
I haven't seen anything of 2021 yet, but I do have some honourable mentions before we get to our top 10. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the movie that surprised me the most this year. My favourite day at the cinema this year, because of multiple reasons. It was when things were normal. It was when, for some reason, every shop I went to in this supermarket I was in, in this shopping mall I was in before I saw the movie.
Why was shopping mall more appropriate than supermarket?
I don't know. I'm not quite with it. It's quite late, all right? It's 2020, you know. It's giving me flashbacks talking about all these 2020 movies. But yeah, no, it was a great day I was having, and particularly weird one because everyone behind the counter decided to have like a 5 to 10 minute conversation with me about whatever was going on, including one man actually rapped to me, and he worked in the Levi shop, and this was at Blue Water Shopping Centre for anyone who knows. He just decided to he basically, we started chatting. I started chatting to him, and then randomly he told me he was a rapper, and then he was like, "Do you want me to rap for you?" I was like, "Yeah, go on." And he just decided to rap for me. So an already fantastic day. And also, by the way, just to clarify, the person I saw it with was Matt from Full Fat Videos. So we were both there, and we both experienced this person rapping to us. He was actually pretty good. It was it was a great experience. And then we went into the cinema to watch Bad Boys for Life.
Bad Boys for Life.
Now, the reason why I would speak to this is because, look, guys, I want to speak about this because here is a franchise. Here is the weirdest trilogy of all time, because we have Bad Boys 1, which is, you know, a solid buddy cop movie. Michael Bay. It's like Michael Bay, but, you know, Michael Bay hasn't like fully realised how much he can push Michael Bay quite yet.
Michael Bay before Michael Bay became like a verb that we could put onto other movies.
Exactly. But then that's when the second one came out, and that's when he went full Michael Bay. And that's when you get insane shots of, like, if you just watch the club scene alone, the angles, I'll never understand to this day why he decided to put the camera where he does. But everything is just so epic and awesome. Anyway, Bad Boys 2, you know, it is what it is. It's an insane movie. People love it. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I enjoy both of these movies. I grew up with these two films. I think they're good fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are hilarious together. They're great. Then we get, you know, a long time, you know, since a kid, we spoke about the third Bad Boys movie. You know, and it was built up for years, and it looked like it was never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it just seemed to come out. And that was last year, January 2020. Bad Boys for Life came out, and I saw it, and I was just expecting, you know, I wasn't expecting it to be good, if I'm honest with you. I thought they wheeled them out. They've wheeled them out now. They're a bit too old. I thought this is what it's going to be. But I ended up having probably the most fun I've had in the cinema in 2020, because, I mean, there's not many experiences I had in 2020. But in terms of pure fun, I'm not saying it's the best movie, obviously, because it's in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, it didn't even make the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. But it was good fun, and I know a lot of people out there didn't really like it too much. But I just found it really fun, and I think I went in with such low expectations. I was not expecting to have such a good time. I thought that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith still had the chemistry they had back in the day, and I was laughing. The action was well shot. It was thrilling. It gave me everything I kind of wanted from a Bad Boys movie, a third Bad Boys movie. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I'd be happy with a fourth one if I'm honest with you. Just keep doing them. I don't mind. Yeah, I thought it was bonkers. I think it kind of captured. It doesn't go quite as mad as 2 does, of course, because you have to be a special kind of human being to direct a movie like that, and that is Mr. Michael Bay. Who you got to think about this. This man still has, was it like 2 or 3 movies in the Criterion Collection? I don't know. But anyway, Bad Boys for Life is probably. I had to mention it just because I had so much fun. So regardless of what you think of it, I had to put it in my honorable mentions.
Of course.
Do you want me to go through the other 2, or do you want to mention one of your honorable mentions?
Well, how many do you have? Do you have 2?
I've just got 2 more, really.
You've got 2 more, so the 3 total.
2 more. Yes.
In that case, I'll give I have 2 honorable mentions and a film of 2021 that I've watched. So I'll say one of my honorable mentions, and then I'll leave the. So we'll finish on my 2021, and then we'll go into the 2020s.
That sounds good.
Logic. So the first honorable mention that I want to give is The Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. I think that was the full title.
Yes, I believe that is
a
the full title.
long-ass title. I think DC... So DC had moderate success with Wonder Woman until the end, and Aquaman until bits of it were less good, but as a whole, it's just madness and it's fucking great. I think Birds of Prey is definitely amongst those top 3 DC films. And from the beginning, and like all the critical reviews, everyone was like, "This is going to be garbage. This is garbage." And I watched it and was like, "Nah, this is lots of fun, and I enjoy it, and I want more of this from the DC EU." I just thought it was a really fun package. You know, it wasn't.
I just loved how much it embraced the DC world of it. It didn't shy from any of that, which I think sometimes they do. Obviously less so now that we have like the Snyder stuff. But also, yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. I understand that being an honorable mention, I guess. I mean, there isn't much that's come out this year, so it's funny. It's interesting that I think we've both sort of mentioned, in my opinion, quite sort of average movies. Yeah. The fact that they're in our honorable mentions just tells you about the year itself was quite a difficult year for film. But yeah.
But I also did love so Ewan McGregor's performance in it as Black Mask. Thought it was fucking great as
he was great.
Black Mask. And also the fact that it was a DC EU film that wasn't world-ending stakes. Like, yes, if Harley Quinn and the gang failed, it's just they're dead. The end. Rather than every other DCU film, which is like, oh, if the hero doesn't win, the world's fucked.
No, yeah. I like that about it. I liked how sort of small it was. Kept it
grounded in a weird DCEU mush that isn't quite real and isn't quite good, but is acceptable for now. We'll see what Zack Snyder does with the Justice League cut, because that's coming out soon. Very soon.
Can't wait.
That'll be interesting.
I also think that Margot Robbie is at that point now of just like she is Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Like even just like in it, I know she, depending on what you feel about her performances, or depending on what you think of Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. I mean, I don't think anyone's saying that Margot Robbie isn't a great Harley Quinn.
Well, yeah, to the point where Margot Robbie is one of the few casting choices from the original Suicide Squad that's being transferred to the James Gunn Suicide Squad, because for whatever people's gripes are with that character, they're accepting of her enough to be like, no, she's good enough. We'll keep her around.
And Jai Courtney, which is interesting because I wasn't a massive Jai Courtney fan. And then I saw Suicide Squad, which, I thought was absolutely terrible. But it was weird because it's weird that this can happen, isn't it? Like, I wasn't a fan of Jai Courtney that much. Well, I hadn't really seen him in too much, to be fair, that I liked. and then I watched a movie that I didn't like, Suicide Squad. But then I remember thinking, you know what though, he had potential. I was like, oh, he could have been quite a fun character in it, and I like that he's been brought into the James Gunn one, because I did think there was, and I think when you can shine like that in a movie that is that bad, I don't usually say movies are bad, like, you know what I'm like, even though I'm on Your Favourite Film Was Awful.
Your favourite film was awful.
Yeah, I don't usually say, I try not to, but yeah, I think everyone knows that it's not the best.
Suicide Squad wasn't
I thought he was
edited
quite
great.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your second honourable mention?
My second honourable mention is Pixar's Onward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I really loved. It actually made me tear up when I watched it. I think I said that on the podcast before. I think I mentioned that I watched it. Yeah, I really like this movie. It was in my top 10, and then I recently watched a couple of movies that have now pushed it out, which is a shame, but I really highly recommend this movie. I think it's really good. I think it was quite a strong year for Pixar, actually, now looking back. And I think I spoke about it before on the podcast, but yeah, I just thought it was a really fun family movie, and I really liked how it was, I don't know, I just liked the idea of it was like this kind of D&D inspired adventure they went on in this weird kind of world that I quite liked how it come about. I thought that was quite funny. And I just liked the whole aspect of the older brother sort of wanting to hang out and play with the younger brother. He doesn't really want to he doesn't really want to do it that much. He's like not very cool sort of thing, which I can highly relate to as the older brother of
we're one of the Are you the oldest sibling?
Yeah, I'm the oldest as well.
Yeah, and I'm the oldest sibling, so I 100% understand where you're coming from.
yeah. We're both the big loser older brothers who want to play with the younger siblings and they don't want to.
No, I'm a big success. I have a podcast.
Exactly.
Fair. No, I get that. Onward was great. It was a good film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
My second mention is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my god.
Because, okay, guys and gals and folks and everybody, right? Remember when that first Sonic the Hedgehog trailer came out and those first posters, and we saw a short, skinny blue man dressed up like Sonic, and he was far too muscular, and he had real teeth, and it was weird. And then the fans were like, yo, no. And they listened. And yeah, that could have been a marketing scheme. Theories are abundant, conspiracies galore. But the fact is, they changed it, and it's a good film. And I do want to see the original cut of that movie with the horrifying Sonic. If anybody, looking directly at you guys...
So many people just switched off right then.
I don't care. If anybody has access to the original Sonic the Hedgehog with muscular Sonic, just let us know. I want to watch it. But no, I thought it was a fun, family-friendly film based on the product. It was a great way to kickstart that franchise, because it's going to be a franchise. They're going to roll out all the movies they can. And I just think, it was good times. It was good times had by me.
I actually didn't get a chance to see that, but I did hear that Jim Carrey was full Jim Carrey, and I did need to see that.
He was great. There's some really good Jim Carrey bits. It's good stuff. Good. Third honourable mention.
My third honourable mention is, I was actually toying with this quite a lot. It was so close in my top 10. And I do kind of feel bad not putting it in, but the reason why I haven't is because, well, let me tell you what the movie is. The movie the honourable mention is Borat's subsequent movie film. Is that the full title?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Borat 2. Let's just call it
Borat 2.
Borat 2. I was a massive fan of the original Borat. My dad thinks it's the funniest movie that's ever graced the world. He thinks it's hilarious. He always likes to remind me that the ending is the funniest thing he's ever seen. The funniest ending to a movie. He always likes that. So yeah, as a movie that I grew up, really enjoying. Wasn't expecting this quick turnaround of this sequel, and I think the movie perfectly captures the Trump era of America. And in a weird way, one of the reasons why I kind of took it out was kind of because it's kind of, I don't want to say dated because that's the wrong word, but because obviously now Biden's in power and stuff, it kind of feels, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
no, I get it. It's one of those that you wouldn't rewatch it now because it's not relevant anymore. Sort of
yes,
thing.
although
Like,
it
the
does
comedy's still
perfectly
good,
capture that
but-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the comedy's still hilarious. Like there's some, I can't believe some of the scenes. I can't believe what they get some politicians to do. Like it just completely exposes the issue in America right now. And I was laughing the whole way through. It had no business being as good as what it was. It was great, but I can't. The reason why it didn't quite make my top 10 is because after I watched it, I didn't quite think about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, I watched it, I enjoyed it, but I didn't think about it as much as I thought about some of these other movies that I still kind of think about.
Yeah.
So, for that, you know, it's in my honorable mentions, but that doesn't mean it's not fantastic, and I recommend anyone who loves the first Borat. I think this is a great sequel. And I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was but that was a tough one for me to not leave out because I did really like the movie.
No, that's fair enough. So the final film that I'm going to talk about before we get into our top 10 is the 2021 Prime Video film, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, which is a Groundhog Day teen romance film. And it's just real nice. It's real lovely. You've got all those, like, the fun, gimmicky stuff of a guy...
That's weird that you said that. Yeah. Isn't there another movie that came out last year that, spoilers ahead, is not in my top 10 because I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I really wanted to, and that was Palm Springs.
Yes.
Isn't that also like a romantic comedy that's like kind of time travel element?
I think so.
Or like a repeat
I think
to it.
Yeah, I think it is a Groundhog Day-esque romance film.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
But this one is like so obviously like aimed at teens. Like,
okay, yeah, I see.
I think it was based on a short story. It could have easily been based on a young adult book sort of thing. And it's really nice. I just thought it was very enjoyable. It didn't take itself too seriously to the point where they refer to Groundhog Day multiple times because they know that that's what's going to be referred to as, because Groundhog Day is the time travel film.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very enjoyable. It's not like mind blowing, but just thrown out there. I'd say it was above average film, and I haven't watched many 2021 films yet. So, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, good times.
It's good. Is Groundhog Day time travel though? Does it count as time travel?
Well, it's time loop, so
time
it's still
loop,
a time.
isn't it? Yeah,
I think it's story-based time
same sort of-
manipulation.
Yeah.
So I guess it
fits.
fits.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe.
I guess. So.
I don't know. I think we're
I guess
splitting
it's playing with time, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. Top 10.
Before we go into the top 10, though, I
Yes.
want to let people know some of the big movies I haven't seen.
Lots.
Just a couple of the big movies. Yeah, not but just a couple of the big ones that are in the conversation. For example, I know you might have seen a few, but I'm just gonna say that I haven't. I haven't seen The Five Bloods.
Mhm.
I haven't seen Nomadland. I haven't seen Malcolm and Marie.
I have seen Malcolm and Marie.
I haven't seen Greenland, which I know people were talking about.
I haven't seen Greenland.
And I think that's it in terms of things that people are talking about at the moment.
Yeah.
I might remember as we go along. But I'm sure people will message me saying, why wasn't this included? But it's probably because I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I'm going to attach myself to that statement as well. There's going to be a lot of films that I haven't seen, that either of us haven't seen. Also, I'm going to add on a little thing, purely for convenience. There's a lovely app, I'm sure we've mentioned it before, called Letterboxd.
Yes.
And that's an American app, so that bases it on American release dates. And so there's going to be a couple of films that were released in 2019 in the US and then came over in 2020 that aren't going to be on my list because I just used the Letterboxd.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's another reason it's not on the list.
Fair.
It happens.
I also haven't seen Never Rarely, Sometimes Always, which I know loads of people keep telling me to watch. So
I hadn't even heard of that film.
Oh. It's supposed to be good. I really want to see it.
Right. Oh, also, if you've somehow managed to get this far into the episode without fully committing to just watching the whole thing, we're going to do our best to not spoil the films that we're going to be talking about. Just so that you can watch them. This isn't our usual talk about a film to its death. It's, hey, these are our favourite films of 2020.
Yes, it's more just like, here's our recommendations of the movies that we like from 2020. You might have seen some of them, you might not, and hopefully there's a few that might, make you want to go out and watch. And if that is the case, please message us and say, like, if you enjoyed them or if you loved them. I always love recommending people movies, so...
Oh yeah, definitely put down in the comments if you watched any of these films because we said them. And also, put down what your top 10 of last year is. Put it down in the 100%. Comments.
Definitely do that in the comments.
Tweet us or Instagram us or just hit us up in one of the many forms you can. Audience interactions. It's good. We want to hear from you. You want to hear from us. Hopefully, if you don't want to hear from us, we're still going to make this content because it's good fun. It's good fun and I enjoy it.
Exactly.
Top 10. Charlie, what is number 10?
Oh, okay. I'm starting off.
You're starting it.
Number 10, we have the heir to one of my favourite filmmakers of all time, in David Cronenberg. His son, Brandon Cronenberg, is now making movies, and he made a movie that came out in 2020 called Possessor. And I really enjoyed this movie. Ooh. It has its problems, and I have my issues with it, which maybe we can go in deeper into later, maybe. We'll see. But just to set it off, the premise essentially is about it's set in the future, and this lady who's like an assassin is brain implanted their brain, so their brain can be switched into a random citizen's brain, and they can go inside the body of someone else, and then take out a target in that body, and then leave, and then that person's like essentially gets the blame. Right. But our protagonist has done it a few times and is starting to sort of have a bit of an identity crisis. But it's the classic, has one more hit left to do. People are like not sure if this person should do it or not, because it's affecting her home life. But what I particularly liked about it is that the last task that she's given to assassinate is she is set to kill Sean Bean. Which, I don't know about you, is hilarious. Because, as we all know, Sean Bean gets killed in every movie. So I think it's genius casting to cast Sean Bean as the last hit that this lady has to take. I've probably butchered that a little bit, but I think that is the essential premise of the movie. Yeah. There's obviously a lot more to it that I really don't want to spoil, because I think it's a really fun, like, sci-fi horror thriller.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see Brandon Cronenberg's influence from his dad, of that kind of fleshy, like gory, but not like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, kind of gross. Like the way they both look at the human body and the way they show violence is like in such a gross way. But and I mean that in the most like the biggest compliment I could give, sort of thing. But he also has his own little style. The previous movie he did before this was Antiviral. Sorry, which I really enjoyed as well. Which is kind of like that was about, like, in the near future, sort of people selling like the illnesses of famous people. People were like
Right.
buying them,
Yeah.
and this one person like does it and sort of like starts to slowly sort of deteriorate because sort of thing. It's really good. I don't want to spoil that one as well. It's an interesting movie, very low budget. And but anyway, yeah, check that one out if you like this. But Possessor, it was the fact that it had all this sort of practical effects. There's no real CGI in this movie that I can think of. Everything was done sort of practically or using camera techniques. And I think, I imagine that's intriguing a few people from, if you hear what the premise is about, you think surely there's some sort of CGI in that. I do think it kind of loses itself. I think the structure is a bit weird in the middle. And I think it had potential to be probably like my favorite of the year, but it's kind of structurally a bit of a mess. Like the story is great, and the characters are great, and it deals with some really interesting subjects like corporations sort of taking over and the loss, and confusion in your identity, and the brain implant. It was a very 2020 movie. Like it's these new ideas. It kind of made me feel like this is where the next sort of sci-fi ideas are going, like these brain implant. This is the next thing that we're kind of pushing towards. So in that, I really enjoyed it. It was kind of difficult because I watched it in a room full of people that absolutely hated it. So it's a movie that I need to rewatch.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why it's my number 10 so far. But I really enjoyed it. I want to give it another rewatch to see how I truly feel about it.
Yeah.
It's weird because I feel like this movie might not have made my top 10 in any other year. But I feel like this year's there's not been that much, and this is probably the least I've watched in a year since like 2009 in terms of films. Like I just don't. Wow. It's weird in terms of movies that have come out. I've not seen a lot of movies for me personally. So yeah, it's a weird.
Well, you've been going through the back catalogue and playing some Disney Skate Adventure. Like your hands have been full.
It's true. Got to do that Disney Skate Adventure, haven't I? It's important stuff. But yeah, Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor, I recommend it. It's not for everyone, but if you like horror and you like high concept sci-fi kind of ideas, this might be for you. I really enjoyed it. I've probably not done it justice. Speaking right now, it's been a while since I watched it. I watched it like really early on. Yeah, at the start of like lockdown, I think.
I mean, you've made me quite intrigued, so I feel at the very least you've accomplished one success.
That's good. It's at least it's at least worth checking out, I think. Even if it makes you feel horrible and or whatever, but it's definitely a new vision out there, not anything you've sort of seen before. But yeah. But that's my top 10. So my top 10 is Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor. Matt, I just called you Matt. Do you know what? I live with this bastard. I've got to say his name all the time. He's done.
You live with him. You do a podcast with him.
I know. This is podcast. I get so confused. There's so many. But Luke, what is your number 10 of 2020?
Okay, so my number 10 is based on Zach Sobeck. Do you remember a song in about 2013 called Clouds? Yes or no? No. Okay. So if I'm remembering the chorus, it went, and I'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher, up in the clouds where the view's a little nicer. Ringing any bells?
No, but continue.
I will not.
Brilliant. Okay. I'm enjoying that.
Disney Plus has released a film called Clouds. It is about said Zach Sobeck, who died of cancer in 2013. Oh. And in it's a biographical musical drama, and it's based on a book by Zach's mum. And it's basically his life between 2012, when he finds out that the cancer comes back, and 2013 when he dies. And in that year, he released the song Clouds, and he became like this well-known worldwide superstar sort of thing. Like very small scale, but also big scale, because like this is a US singer who was hitting the charts over here, I believe. I'm saying hitting the charts, but like I heard of this guy, and I don't listen to popular music, so what's that about? But the fact it's so emotional, like I was invested, I was into it. I think because I'd heard the song back in 2013, so it's like 7 years later, and I'm watching a film based on a song from me 7 years ago, so it's transporting me back. It was just really nice, and it was really good. It's a little slow, it could have been a bit faster, but I feel that's the issue with most biopics. And it's just really nice. It's really nice. It's really good. And that's my top 10. That's my 10. That's my 10th place. Yeah, that's all of it.
It's just all of them.
1 to 10, it's just Clouds. No, that's my 10. I just thought it's just a really nice film. I feel like if you want to watch somebody make the most out of the time that they have left, but also like deal with such big issue, and like how, because he puts on a brave face, but there's beats in this film where he's not okay, he's not happy, he's not the happy chappy that you get to know at the beginning of the film, because he's gonna die in a few months. And it's just this like, he's such a positive energy and this like good egg, and he's just got like this terrible hand of cards, and he just does real good stuff. And the ending, just that's all I can say now. It's just the word
It sounds really like sad, actually. It sounds like a good watch.
It's yeah, but there's enough. It's not wholly sad. It's just very. It's dealing with a kid with cancer, and he's a kid. He's under 20 years old, and he died of cancer.
That's sad.
It's like,
it's really sad.
Immediately the premise is sad, but there's enough. Like he's such a positive individual that you can't help but like be happy and get to like him.
That sounds
and
horrible.
That just hurts.
Yeah, that sounds.
And
like
it's just
something
so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my 10. That's my.
That
10th
sounds
place.
rough, man.
It
That sounds
is.
like I'd struggle to watch that.
Nah,
I'm a big soft.
but that's the thing, because it's gonna like. He gets you and he pulls you in, and you're in for like the hug for the long haul, and then like the cancer.
Yeah.
It's cancer. It's great.
Damn.
I loved it. It was a good time. I was like, it's one of the few films that if I could cry, I would have cried watching it. You get me?
I get you.
Okay. It's
If
good
I
times.
could try, so I'd be sobbing then. That's what
Oh
you're
yeah, most likely.
saying. Yeah.
Right, let's move on to happier times, potentially. Number 9. What do you got? What do you got for me, Charlie?
Right, number 9 will probably be a quick one to talk about, because we have gone into much detail about it on the podcast, because my number 9 is Remy Weeks' His House. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I mean, you can hear me talk about it for an hour, so I'm not going to say too much. You can hear both of us talk about it for an hour,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to say too much. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's been a very strong year for some horror movies. I mean, the fact that my number 10 and 9 are technically horror movies. So, I really like this movie a lot. I mean, I go into detail with, I kind of have issues with the ending, but I think that the choice of putting a social realism and a horror together was fantastic, making the social realist aspect just as scary as the actual monster aspect. I thought was brilliant. All round great performances. I think a really great debut from Remy Weeks, and it was just nice to see a British horror movie with some that doesn't shy away from the sort of fantastical elements of the monster. I quite enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, do you reckon I should give a little premise of it, even though we've talked about it before? A little rundown for people.
You can if you want. Maybe like a baby one, like a real short.
Yeah. Essentially, this couple move from war-torn South Sudan to England, where they are put in a really crappy area in a really crappy house, and they now have to try to fit in with the people that live there, but no one sort of wants them there. Whilst this is going on, a monster has seemed to have followed them from their past. That's what I'm sort of saying. But yeah, really fun movie. The scares are terrifying. Scared the crap out of me, some of it. But yeah, definitely recommend that one.
Fair enough.
Yep. So number 9 on my list is Remy Weeks, His House. Luke, what is your number 9 of 2020?
Okay, so my number 9 is, so you know in last year we didn't get that big famous singing contest, the one that they do in Europe.
Oh my god, Eurovision.
So my number 9 is Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Saga.
Incredible.
I loved it. It was great. It was during first lockdown. I was sat with my mum. It was good times. We watched it. Mom was reading the paper. She put down the paper to continue watching this film. Like, if anything gets a recommendation, that's how you know. When people are distracted by their phone, they put down their phone to continue watching. That's when you know it's a good film.
That's when you know.
But nah, it's great. Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, Netflix, just it all comes together as like this great comedy for a year where we didn't get Eurovision. It has everything you want. It has singing, it has comedy, it has slapstick. What more can you want? Tell me now, Charlie. What more?
I don't know, but I'm really sad I missed that one because I did want to watch it because I'll pretty much watch anything Will Ferrell does. I think he's funny, hilarious. I even went to see Holmes and Watson in the cinema.
I also watched that film. What a film that was.
Terrible. Yeah, it's terrible, but I can't say I didn't have a great time because I was just laughing at the fact that I could just tell that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly just didn't give a shit. They were just having a great time. But yeah, okay, Eurovision. Now that you've put that in your top 10, I'm gonna definitely check that out because I actually forgot about that one. That came up quite early, didn't it? In the sort of
yeah, that was first lockdown. So
Corona, yeah.
March.
So yeah,
I
remember planning to watch it when it first happened, but yeah,
it's good times. Good times. But yeah, my number 9 Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga. Charlie.
Story of Fire Saga.
Number 8.
Oh, I'm just have to quickly check. Let's just quickly check my number 8. Like I shouldn't know already off the top of my head before this podcast. Oh, okay, number 8. Right now, number 8 is a movie not many people maybe might have heard of. It was a small kind of movie that come out of, I believe, Sundance.
Okay.
Might be wrong. But, you know, it got me with the genre, Luke, and that is a hangout movie, because, you know, I love a hangout movie.
You do love a hangout movie.
I do love a hangout movie. And this is, I believe it's Turner Ross and Bill Ross's Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets.
Oh, okay.
Which is about a Las Vegas bar that is being shut down. And it's the last day at the bar as we spend time with the local alcoholics that go into the bar.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's shot with like a documentary style, so it feels like you're watching a documentary, but it's scripted apparently. So it's all scripted, it seems, or at least like improvised and added. There's only one actor in the movie. The rest are all actual alcoholics from bars. Apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the essentially, I mean, it's weird the way it's shot. It's kind of like you see the cameraman and stuff. Like it's shot like a documentary almost. And like the sound is like a documentary sound. Like you can hear everyone talking in the background as you're listening to important conversations the characters are having. So it might not be for everyone. Like people might be like, "Oh, this is terribly made," sort of thing. But to me, I was like, this is genius. This is obviously their first movie. They've done it on a super low budget. And it's just about the alcoholics that essentially like live in this bar, and are kind of sad to see it leave in this kind of area that's being sort of shut down and replaced by chains, essentially. It's really good. It kind of made me feel a bit existential. It gets very existential. It's, if anyone has, dealt with alcoholics in their life, or have family members or people close to them, some of this will hit home, because I think they really nail exactly what alcoholic or people that struggle with alcohol addiction are like, and how they speak and their mannerisms, and I just really loved it for that. I think it felt really it was a really pure lens at like looking at that world. I mean, there was stuff that really, there's a quote I think I put on my Letterboxd when I gave my review from the movie that stayed with me to this day, and one of the characters, who is like used to be an actor, and he's talking to like one of the younger alcoholics who's there, who's like a struggling musician, and he's essentially homeless, this actor guy now, and he's old, and he says to him, like, they're both drunk, he says to him, you got to keep up like with your music, you got to do it, don't do what I do, because there's nothing more boring than a guy that used to do things who doesn't do things anymore because he's in a bar.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me. That really just haunted me, and I just really enjoyed it. I think I just loved hanging out with all these different characters. They all felt so real, and probably because they were a lot of but yeah, if you like hangout movies, this is not it's not for everyone. If you like things like Richard Linklater's Slacker, it's a lot like that, and it's sort of low budget guerrilla style filmmaking of it, but I really enjoyed it. It really touched me. I had a lot of fun, and it's only 90, I think it's like 80-90 minutes, so definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, good
Bloody
stuff.
Nose, Empty Pockets.
I like it. I mean, I don't know if I like it. I've not seen it, but it sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke, so what is your number 8 2020?
My number 8 is The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Which is one of the movies I also haven't seen that come out. I forgot to mention.
Fair enough. So for those at home that don't know, it is about some anti-Vietnam protesters being charged with conspiracy and crossing the border with the intention to incite a riot. And it's really good because it's these, and also it has like a really great cast. Like straight out the bat,
Cast is amazing.
The cast is amazing. Such a good cast. But then you get into the actual film, and it's these different. So it's politics, and it's like a trial, but it's these different people who approach the same task differently. So they're all there being like, Vietnam is bad, pull the soldiers out. But like the way they each handle how they express that, like throughout the film, Sacha Baron Cohen's character is very much like a people person, and he's like a bit of a hippie-esque character, and he's like just out there and enjoying life and being like, hey, this is shit, don't do it anymore. Whilst you've got Eddie Redmayne's character, who is a student representative, and he's very like politics, gotta do everything by the book, but we want to do it by the law if the law lets us, sort of thing. And like his straight and narrow way versus this loosey-goosey way. So you have this inner conflict within the group of people that are all in the same courtroom being charged against the state. And so like, it's really good. And it's just, as you go along, you get to know these different perspectives. And also, the judge is a dick.
Okay.
I don't want to get like, I struck a very strong negative emotional reaction to the
You don't
the
like
judge.
that judge, do you?
And the fact that he's a judge and is meant to be ruling what happens in this courtroom, and I don't like him, well, that's, it's not great. It's not great. It's not great.
That's written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, that one, isn't it?
I believe so.
He did he also wrote Steve Jobs. He wrote
Yeah,
Social
Dawkins.
Network,
Yeah,
West
yeah.
Wing, Newsroom. So he's like
Yeah.
really
I
known
think it
for
was
his sort of
originally
courtroom drama
written
stuff.
by Dawkins for Spielberg.
Sorkin. Aaron
He's
Sorkin,
not one of
sorry.
us.
Dawkins is
Sorkin.
hilarious though. I love that. Dawkins.
But yeah, so
That's great.
I think he wrote it for Spielberg, but Spielberg had to drop out because of COVID or
Oh, damn.
something. It was like it was
Interesting.
early pandemic days because
I could see Spielberg doing that.
yeah,
I could see.
and then some reason something happened. Spielberg dropped out. Sorkin jumped in. It's great. I think it was very well made. You get connected to these characters. And I didn't know the history of how all this would go down, so it was a mystery to me. What was going to happen?
I don't
at
know
the
much
end.
about it either.
Exactly. So it will be a mystery for you too. Enjoy it.
I do
Good
want to watch
luck.
it. It is making me think now. I'm not gonna lie. The whole time you were just speaking just then, all I could think about was if Aaron Sorkin was bullied when he was younger, did people call him Dawkins?
100%. Children are cruel.
They are cool.
Okay, number 7. What we got? What are we looking at? Oh my god, what's the time? Okay, number 7. Go.
Number seven on my list is, I want to say the name right of the director, and I apologize if I say it wrong, but it's Emerald Fennell, I believe.
Okay.
Emerald Fennell, Promising Young Women. You might recognize Emerald
that title.
Fennell's name from
No, I recognize the title. but
writing season 2 of Killing Eve.
Oh, I
yeah.
like Killing Eve. I've watched
Yes.
that.
Well, if you like that, I think you'll enjoy this. This is a very 2020 movie. This is essentially about a lady played by Carey Mulligan. I can't believe I just forgot the character's name. I'm useless. I remember the Carey Mulligan. Essentially, she goes to bars. She pretends like she's really drunk, and she sees what sort of men come up to her, and she goes home with them, and then she still pretends to be drunk and fall asleep on their sofa, and if they still try it with her when she's really drunk, she stitches them up or something. I don't want to say too much, but
Interesting.
that's essentially the premise. I don't want to give away too much because I think it's best not knowing anything. Well, best to know as little as possible. I really like this movie. I think this is like a new voice. I loved that this could pretty much only be directed by a woman. It was completely from a woman's perspective. It also had a very like the style of it it reminded me a lot of like Heathers in terms of it's like really like colourful and pretty looking, yet there's this like underlining level of violence underneath, if that makes sense, like this dark stuff that's going on.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. It also has Bo Burnham is also in it.
Oh, wow, okay.
He's like he's like the second starring, I guess, in it. It's hard because I don't want to. It's difficult. I don't want to talk about this too much because I think everyone should go out and watch this one. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very, like I said, 2020, very post Me Too era. I think that it has, it's tough. I've got like a couple of things that I'm like, I feel like it could have done a little bit better, but but they're so small that I had such a blast of it. I didn't really know where it was going, and there's been a long time since I've sort of felt like that with like an original movie. But yeah, I thought this movie was really good. It's got a really cool style to it, great soundtrack. Carey Mulligan's fantastic. She's always great. Bo Burnham's brilliant. And I need to say this. I think people have spoken about this online, but every single man cast in this movie is absolutely perfect for the character they're playing. Like, You'll know what I mean when you watch it. They are so perfectly cast that they look exactly like how those people are in real life. Like, exactly. Yeah, spot on casting. Whoever the casting director was on that movie deserves a raise. Someone give that person some money. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really good fun. It could have been high up on my list, but then I started thinking about some things in it that I don't want to go into too much. But I really enjoyed it, and I think it's an important movie to watch from 2020.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it kind of feels a bit like Miss 45 meets Heathers. If anyone's seen those movies, in a weird, maybe that's a weird connection, but that's kind of how I got from it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my number 7 of 2020.
Yes.
Luke, what is your number 7?
Okay. Well, looking at the time, but also looking at my list, I'm going to be pretty short with this one. So this is a lovely little film. It's a British horror film. It is about 2 South Sudan refugees struggling to adjust to their new life in England, but they're being haunted by their past. And that, of course, is His House.
Brilliant. Stole my premise.
Oh, I've got it written down here. I was ready.
That's good.
But yeah, no, I thought, as I said in the episode that we did, the ending is hit or miss for me. The monster is great in certain aspects. But yeah, His House, number 7. I thought overall it was a good package.
And if you want to hear us go into more detail, you can find us on YouTube, which you're probably watching us on now, at Your Favourite Film is Awful, where we go into His House. On the episode, Is His House Awful? Just to
exactly. Just to plug our own thing within our thing.
Shamelessly plug whilst doing it, yeah.
Plugception.
Yep.
Okay, so I have us at about 50 minutes. So, what is your number 6?
Number 6. We have to check again.
Oh my god.
Because...
How have you not known this list?
No, it's true. Because I had to turn things around and mix them up, and I couldn't decide my positions until
That is fair. It took me the better part of an hour to get 6 to 1 in an order.
Yes.
And I'm still not 100% sure if I'm happy with this order.
Yeah. But number 6 for me is Pixar's Soul.
Hey!
I really like Soul a lot, and it really connected with me. Again, we've done this one on the podcast, so if you want to hear us go into more detail, you can check us out on Is Soul Awful? But yeah, Soul's a great movie. I mean, I'll give a little quick premise. It's essentially about a musician who finally gets his big break when all of a sudden he dies, and he now goes to a different a world. What's the world called again? It's called like... I don't know. Let's just say he essentially goes to heaven. The before or something. He essentially goes to heaven, essentially. Some sort of version of that.
Well, it's not because... Yeah,
well, not heaven. It's like...
Yeah, they clarify that it's not because he's put on the escalator to go into the afterlife, and he jumps off that into the place that souls are made.
Yes, essentially, before we join Earth, there's like these souls here that have to find their inspiration and their purpose, essentially, kind of, before they go to the real world. And yeah, Jamie Foxx's character... I'm doing a terrible job. You would have thought for a guy that did an hour-long podcast on this, he'd have more to say, or be able to say the premise properly. But no, he can't. Essentially, basically, he wants to return back to his normal body on Earth by helping another soul find their soul, essentially, so they can join Earth. Yeah, that's essentially the movie, but it's very existential. It's great. I think it's one of Pixar's best movies in a while. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, like I said, we've gone into this quite a bit on the other podcast, but yeah, really, 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 really loved that movie. Hit me in the feels. I enjoyed it a lot.
Nice. Fair enough. So my number 6 is a film, which is a good start, isn't it?
It's a film.
It's a film.
Oh, that is a good start.
It is a film. It is a film, and I've written like a quick note on the synopsis. It is a film with time manipulation. A secret agent must stop the end of the world. So what film has time manipulation about a secret agent that needs to stop the end of the world?
Does it have time inversion, would you say?
Yeah, it does. And that is, it's Tenet. Yeah, which we talked about. This is purely coincidence that 3 films on the trot are films that we have talked about on the podcast.
That is crazy. I can't believe it.
Is His House is awful? Is Soul awful? Is Tenet awful? And the reason it's 6th is because of what I said near the end. I liked the film, but I had a very specific opinion of the film, which we disagreed on. And I won't tell you what that was, because I want you to watch that other episode, or at the very least click on that episode and skip to the end where we do our reviews. But yeah, no, I thought it was good enough to be on the 6th. It was one of the few like big films that was released in 2020, and it deserved to be on my top 10 list. It deserved it. It deserved it.
Well.
But forget about it. It's gone now. Because guess what? Now we're getting into top 5. And when we get into top 5, nobody cares about top 10 anymore. It's all about the top 5.
This is where it gets juicy.
This is where we split hairs and we probably have a fight within a time limit that is acceptable, but also far exceeds whatever I wanted it to be. Number 5, Charlie. What is it?
5 is another horror movie.
Oh, okay.
Another horror movie from 2020. There is a lot of horror movies, good horror movies.
Yeah, that's quite a few already.
There's a couple I missed as well. But this is Saint Maud.
I watched Saint Maud.
You did?
Yeah,
Nice.
I thought. Okay. Tell us what it was about and your feelings. Go.
I loved Saint Maud. I was freaked out from this movie from start to finish. The whole thing made me curl up inside. Like, it's really good. Well, first of all, I'll give you the premise. The premise is essentially about a carer who's very religious, a Christian, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
Who gets this new person to care for, and is getting very frustrated with the fact that she can't seem to fix her problem because she's dying of cancer, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, some life-threatening illness.
Yes, for some life-threatening illness, and she gets more and more frustrated with herself because with her religion. It's a very difficult movie to talk about, isn't it? Do you not think, in terms of its premise? And she slowly, I guess, starts to lose her mind in the process. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
it deserves nothing else. You deserve to go in. You deserve to go in knowing diddly squat.
Yeah,
it's great, and it really plays on things that everyone can sort of feel was experienced, like in terms of like the horror or the squeamish moments play on things like someone picking a scab or like stepping on something sharp. Do you know what I mean? Like all these things that everyone stepped on a bit of Lego before. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone knows how painful that is. Well, imagine something really sharp, So it plays on those aspects and makes you feel really like squeamish. And I thought it was just a great character study, and it really puts you in the mind of the protagonist. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I thought it was fantastic. I feel like these next 5 movies you could change them around, essentially. But yeah, Saint Maud.
Yeah,
my number 5.
I will spoil that Saint Maud isn't on my top 10, but I feel like if I'd given it another watch, it would have been in my top 10.
Yeah,
like
I
could see that happening, sort of thing.
Definitely, yeah.
My turn. My 5th place winner. You don't win at 5th place. Good try. Well done, but no. Is a South Korean dystopian action thriller called Time to Hunt. Now, have you seen a heist film? Have you seen a buddies film? Have you seen a Terminator film, but not quite Terminator film, but like a Terminator light film? Put them all together, and that is Time to Hunt. It is a group plan and execute a heist, and then they get hunted by an assassin, and it's great, and it's full of action, and it's like this character. Oh, there's enough character for you to go in for that, and then there's so much just testosterone fueled action that you're just like, oh mate, I get these characters, but oh shit, look at that explosion. It's a great time.
Incredible. What a good way of explaining it, Luke.
I just
look at that explosion.
Look at that explosion. But nah, the assassin does some mad shit that no person should be able to survive. It's just, it's great. I was fully on board. And yeah, that's my number 5. Some people will be asking,
this is what I love. I just love the way we both like review things. Like, it's like me, I'm trying to be like, it's a deep character.
You're definitely
study.
like,
and you're like, it's got action, it's got explosions. What more do you need? Exactly.
Yeah, there is definitely like you can tell which of us went to a film school.
I love it.
And which of us was like, hey, let's watch movies and do a bit of acting.
I mean, it's great. That's what I think the dynamic is. That's what I like about it.
But yeah, no, it's so good. I feel like, yeah, I don't know why I prefer this to Tenet. Like, just enough to put it above Tenet in this list. But I do. I think it accepts what it is more for me. And I love it. It's so good. It's so good. I kind of want to watch it now. Can we wrap this up so I can watch Time to Hunt again?
Well, it's funny because I actually tried to squeeze it in before this podcast. I actually tried to watch it because I remember you mentioning it, so I was like, I knew that it was kind of in your top 10. I didn't know where it was, and I was curious because I was like, I hadn't heard of it, and I was like, I haven't actually seen really any foreign language movies this year. I was like, this is really bad. Like usually I see like a few. Like I tried to watch, but like I said, I've been really bad on. Say this year, last year, 2020. I've been really bad on that, so I did try to squeeze it in. I did enjoy what I saw. I do have my qualms.
Oh yeah, it's not a perfect movie.
Yeah,
by any stretch.
But I understand why you enjoy it. I can. I kind of parts of it feel like. I think where it's its strength is when parts of it feel like you're watching John Wick from the victim's perspective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At some parts, like
no, there are some parts where you're just like, what the fuck? How are they gonna survive?
Yeah,
it's great.
Exactly.
I loved it. It was it's just a barrel of fun. It's not amazing, but it's for the year we got. That's definitely a highlight, and it deserves.
And it's your personal top 10.
And it's my me. Fight me.
Exactly.
Don't fight me. I will lose. But hey, number 4. What's the 4th place? What just missed out on podium?
Number 4 is a movie I'm itching to talk about, particularly to you, Luke, because I think you're gonna like it.
Oh.
And I want to hear you talk about it on another podcast if you do watch it. Just want to see what you think. I mean, I say all this, and you'll probably be like, "No, I'm not watching it." So this is, I believe, Jim Cummings' second directorial debut. How can you have a second directorial debut? Second movie that he's directed and written. I believe he's definitely directed it. I'm pretty sure he wrote it as well. If you saw the movie Thunder Road, which I recommend, it's a low budget movie about a cop struggling to deal with his divorce and his career at the same time. It's a really good movie. There's a short film that I saw I was on like a university trip to Paris, and we went to like one of the film festivals there, and it played, and it was the only movie I saw at the festival that I remembered pretty much. Where I was like, this is good. The others were were the best, and everyone was laughing. It was very funny, and then because that short film did so well, he got the chance to make the feature of that, and it was great. Really like Thunder Road. Really pulls at the heartstrings. But I think he might have topped it. I think he might have topped it with his new movie, The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Now, this is a film about a sheriff who has anger management problems, and he is an alcoholic. And multiple women in this town are being assassinated Well, not
Okay.
assassinated. Are being assassinated. That's a weird word. Are being killed by some sort of killer out there that has been leaving like paw prints.
Oh.
So everyone in the town believes it's a werewolf, and he's like, "What are you talking about? Like everything, like it's clearly a werewolf, right?" And this guy refuses to believe that it's not a werewolf. Meanwhile, his dad, he was the sheriff before, played by Robert Forster in unfortunately his last role before he passed away last year, which is really weird that this is his last role because the character he plays is like suffering with like old age essentially. So it's interesting.
Yes. Suffering with old age.
No, but you know what I mean, like with I think it's like Alzheimer's,
dementia.
I think Alzheimer's, dementia and
dementia,
stuff. I'm not quite sure of the definition between the two.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely something like that. So he's dealing with that. He's also dealing with the fact that his daughter doesn't. He's trying to make a relationship. His daughter is not doing. How can I put it? It's like on the edge. They're not doing so well. Their father-daughter relationship isn't doing so well, and meanwhile he's got the whole town moaning at him. Why haven't you caught this killer that is clearly a werewolf? And he's like, it's not a bloody werewolf. These don't exist, right?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic movie. I loved it so much. It's very low budget, but it's not very low budget. It's like the budget that it has. I feel like he made the most out of what the budget he was given. He's a very resourceful filmmaker. And if you follow him on Twitter, he's all about like using what you have and doing things on a low budget. And he's always encouraging young filmmakers to like just go out there and film and use what you have. And he's a very inspirational person to follow. So I'd definitely follow him if you're a fellow filmmaker out there. But yeah, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, the techniques. It's an 80-minute movie as well. It's funny, it's scary, it's sad. It was everything I wanted. I was not expecting. I mean, it might not be in everyone's top 10 of the year. People might put it as an average movie or whatever, but I absolutely loved it. I think it was great. It sent me on a roller coaster ride. The characters are brilliant. There's a genuine mystery on what is going on. It's really annoying because I don't want to say too much. But it is let's just say it's a full out werewolf movie without saying too much. Like it's great. It's really really fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it, Luke. I had a really good time with it. So number 4, The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Highly recommend this one because I think the other movies on my list people have probably seen or they've already been spoken about loads. Whereas this hasn't really been spoken about that much because it's kind of a low budget genre movie, which people don't really talk about, and you're not going to hear about it at any of the awards ceremonies. So please go out and watch this movie, and if you do and you like it, please tell me. I'd love to hear about it. But yeah, I think that's a good enough synopsis of that film. But yeah, that's my number 4, The Wolf of Snow Hollow of 2020.
Nice. I'm interested. You got me intrigued. You have both my interest and attention. So, good job.
Cool.
Right, my number 4. Hey, you know Earth? You know how Earth is fucked?
Is this what you're doing? All these segues?
All the movies. I'm going to summarize a little bit and then I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you what it is. You know David Attenborough? Have you seen the film David Attenborough, A Life on Our Planet?
I have, and I do you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of the documentaries like that I've watched. I forgot, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no. So for those that don't know, it serves as a witness statement from Sir David Attenborough over his career from 1950s to like speculations of the future, and it's so weird because it just shows how much effect humans have had on the environment and how much we've destroyed it.
Yep.
Like, to the point where the current speculation is that within our lifetime, so me and you, Charlie, we're going to be old by then, but within our lifetime, Earth could end.
Yeah. Scary as hell.
What? Yeah, it was so great. It was just really like showed you how his life with nature has transpired, and how like throughout it you get like little chapters sort of things when it goes between the different decades and the different years, and it just shows you how much like wildlife has shrank and how much forests have shrank because we've colonized more and we've just dominated the earth and destroyed it because we're kind of parasitic. We're a little bit parasites, aren't we, humans? We're great. We're evolvers. We do what we want. We adapt. We don't evolve.
But you have to say it like Agent Smith, though.
Oh, God.
Disease.
A disease.
A virus.
A virus. Oh, mwah. And so many years later, he's still fucking telling the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That's my number 4. It's very eye-opening. It's very much like, hey, we might die.
Yep. That's a good shout. I enjoyed that. That scared the fucking life out of me when I watched that.
So it should, and the people need to watch it and also be scared, because it's gonna happen. We're gonna get fucked.
Yep.
It's so weird that these pandemics have been like the best thing to happen to nature for fucking years. And it took humans staying at home for nearly a year to like fix nature a little bit. It's so bizarre.
Crazy.
But hey, that's number 4. That can now sod off. All of it can sod off. Because where are we now, Charlie? Where are we?
We're in the
We're
top
at podium. 3. We're at top 3. This is it. This is bronze, silver, gold. What is it? What has gotten bronze? You tell me now.
Bronze. My bronze is another horror movie.
Yay!
It's another horror movie.
So many
it's Lee
horror
Whannell's.
movies.
Lee Whannell's The Invisible Man.
Oh, The Invisible
this
Man.
movie was fantastic. First of all, if you haven't seen Upgrade, Lee Whannell's movie before this, check that out. It is a great little sci-fi, low-budget sci-fi action movie. And he comes along and he turns the Invisible Man, a character that has never really had many strong movies made about. Out of all of the monsters, the Frankenstein, Dracula, they've all had, they've had their great movies, and a couple of them. Whereas poor Mr. Invisible Man, he's a far and few between. But I'm going to say it right now, right here on the podcast. This is the best Invisible Man movie, okay? That I have seen anyway, all right? Before you start going, I know you loved your Hollow Man or whatever it was. I haven't seen it, right? But The Invisible Man by Lee Whannell was fantastic. There is moments in the film that, well, first of all, I got to see it in the cinema, which was fantastic. There are moments in the film that generally I had no idea where it was going. I thought the whole concept itself was genius. The way the horror was like filmed was terrifying. Like the fact that if someone, I don't know if people know the premise of the movie. Essentially, a woman flees her rich, controlling boyfriend's
abusive
mansion.
Grasp.
Yeah, abusive grasp. And she later finds out that he is passed away. But he somehow is now teasing her from the dead, essentially. He's come back as an Invisible Man. Obviously, that's not the explanation for it. Watch it, but it's fantastic. It's great. It's a great metaphor for like abusive relationships. The horror is brilliant. Elizabeth, is it Elizabeth Moss?
I think so, but I'm not great with names.
Yeah. She is fantastic in this film. Like, because a lot of the movie revolves around her being scared of nothing. So and she is really, really good. Yeah, all round really fun movie. the action in it's great. It's so well shot. I mean, I could go on forever. I was just surprised about how good this film was. I had an absolute blast. So The Invisible Man, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to see it. It's great.
I can understand what you're saying. I don't fundamentally agree with everything you're saying, but I understand what you're saying.
You understand my thinking.
Your podium, not my podium. I
No,
understand.
it's my bronze medal.
I acknowledge. I accept. My turn. My bronze medal goes.
What's your bronze medal?
My bronze medal goes to the South Korean thriller. It's called a thriller, but I think that there's enough horror elements in it for it to be a horror thriller at the very least. And that is The Call, which is the 2020 Netflix version. Upon my research, it is based on the 2011 The Caller. And it's about a woman. She loses her phone on the train. She goes back to her family house. It's empty. It's just her there. She plugs in an old phone that the family used to have, and it starts receiving calls from the past. And the person in the past turns into a fucking nutter.
That sounds cool.
It is so good. There were I didn't know it was based on the 2011 The Caller, and I was getting. Have you seen Frequency?
No.
Okay, there is a film called Frequency that exists. I was getting very light Looper vibes, where little things were happening in the past that were affecting the present. Some people who were there at the beginning of the film get unwritten from the history books. For example, which is just, God, it was so good. I was ready.
Okay.
It's so good. It was great. It's very well done. It's very well acted. The story is very well done. They don't explain why it happens. Very Groundhog Day-esque. They just don't explain why it's a thing. It just is a thing. And it works. And it's very well executed, in my opinion. And I just enjoyed the shit out of it. After I found out it was based on the 2011 The Caller, I had a quick check of the trailer for The Caller. And in the comments, they were saying that this is a better version. It's a remake that succeeds the predecessor. It's just so good. It's just very well made. It's a great little thriller horror film. I was invested. I'm always invested in these films, apparently. Why am I invested? I didn't ever think I'm invested.
Because you like
but
them.
I'm invested.
And then you're top 10.
They're in my top 10. That's bronze. That's bronze, baby.
There we go.
Now
we've got silver and gold.
Silver and gold.
We've
Silver.
gone on for a long time talking about top 10.
We have. We've gone
close. We're so close to the end now.
Right. Second place. What is it?
Second place, David Fincher's Mank. Written by his dad, Jack Fincher, about the writer of Citizen Kane and how he deals with... how he wrote it, essentially, in his work process with Orson Welles, and how he was kind of like a... I don't know if that's the right word to use, not an anarchist, but a renegade, I guess, of the industry in a time where, no one questioned anyone because of the power they held. This was a man that sort of stood out. And I think what I like about this movie so much is it's about a guy, who's he never sort of minded being in the shadow, being the writer and having other people get the credit for his amazing writing. But for some reason, with this picture, which happens to end up being obviously one of the greatest movies of all time, he wants his credit, and there is problems that come with that. And it's about the man's life and dealing with his alcoholism and and the conflicts he has with the people in the industry. It's an ode to the old style of filmmaking of structuring stories. It's everything I loved as a film fan and a filmmaker. I absolutely adored this movie. Fincher just never puts a foot wrong, and he doesn't. This movie, I think it's a great, incredible character study, and it might not be for everyone. It's kind of a shame it kind of didn't get spoken about too much, but I think it's because it's like a black and white movie shot in the style of a 30s, 40s film noir. So it's not for everyone, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant, and yeah. I don't know what more I can say. We haven't got much more time on the clock, but David Fincher's Mank, Silver Place, number 2.
Silver Place.
Could have taken number 1. Could have taken number 1, but there was a reason why it's not number 1. And I will get into that when I say my number 1.
Okay,
Luke,
I'm ready. Okay.
What is your silver medal?
My silver medal, in typical Luke fashion, my silver medal goes to a computer animated musical fantasy family film, and that's Over the Moon.
Over the Moon. Okay.
Over the Moon. I know, it was a great little movie. It is the basic premise is that it is about a girl who gets told, so it's American Chinese produced film. It's a girl that gets told this Chinese legend about a moon goddess and her hunter lover, and she connects to that story and connects to her parents, and then her mum dies.
Damn.
And then time skips, and her dad has found a new person to love and dote upon, and a stepmother, if you will. But of course, our protagonist is still like, hey, but mum, and the legend is about true love, and so it's so she goes to the moon to see the moon goddess, and it deals with loss of a loved one, and it's about being learning to move on, but not like move on and forget. It's move on and accept. It's just very well done, and it's got some musical numbers that were very enjoyable, and a couple of the songs were a little overplayed, but I gave it a pass because overall the message is just so like in the feels, and you're just watching it and you're like, yes, this is good. This is what we need kids to watch. It's, hey, people die. It's shit, but life is good. Don't be too depressed.
Oh, that sounds really sweet.
It is so sweet. It's great. It's so good. But it can go away now. It can sod off. None of the other films matter for today. Okay, before we get into it, you may be in the same boat, but I just want to say this outright and clear. This top 1 is top 1 for today.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
In another day, in another mood, the list could have changed. But this takes gold today. Charlie, what takes gold for you? Top film of 2020. Go.
Look, guys, I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm sorry that this might be considered a boring choice to a lot of people out there, but I can't help the way it affected me. And that is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. And I know what you're thinking.
I knew it. I was waiting for it to be on the list.
And I know what you're thinking. Here we go. Another little film bro who's loving off Mr. Nolan, right? That's not the case. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do love Mr. Nolan. Of course I do, right? But for me, this was the best experience I had in the cinema in terms of this is everything I want from a movie. The scale of it, it made me, it made my imagination run wild. It gave me some great characters. I just everything about it. Nothing I'd seen before, and it was a truly original blockbuster, which we just don't. They're very far and few between anymore. Do you know what I mean? We don't get them anymore. But not only that, and the reason, Mank could have easily been my number 1, but the decider for me was, one, the amount of times I went to see Tenet. 2, the sheer sort of love for filmmaking that I got from it. And obviously I got that from Mank, because it's about that. It's a love for the film industry. It's his ode to Hollywood. It's Fincher's ode to Hollywood. But Tenet just used just simple camera, well, not simple, but in-camera techniques that, you know, there wasn't particularly much CGI. It was just pure filmmaking and on a grand scale. Every penny was seen on screen. And it completely inspired me as a film fan, as a filmmaker. It just really made me. It just wanted me to go out there and make my own film. And for that, I have to give it my number 1 spot. I just had to. I mean, regardless of what you think of the movie, people are probably thinking, you know, what's this, Charlie? Come on. Is it because it's the only big one, you know, to come out? Is that why?
No.
Is it because it's the only one you got to see in the cinema? No, it's not. Because I actually saw Mank in the cinema just before. I saw that at the Prince Charles when it came out.
Oh, nice.
For a very short period. But yeah, Christopher Nolan's Tenet blew me away. Ludwig Göransson's score is phenomenal. I mean, we did a whole podcast on it. Luke's already mentioned it already, but people, you know, it is what it is. Christopher Nolan's Tenet isn't my number 1. It'd be the movie that I'll be thinking about the most probably from this year. So there we go. Luke,
Fair enough.
what is your gold place, mate? Your gold place favourite film of 2020?
Right. So.
Hubie Halloween.
Huh? Sorry?
Is it Hubie Halloween? Is that what it's called?
Hubie Halloween, you got me.
Yeah, the Adam Sandler one.
Yeah, I watched it. It was a film.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Okay. I need to prevent. I need to state the obvious here. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial pick.
Okay.
And to like solidify my placement and solidify that it is the golden award-winning film. I need to explain that my reasoning is right. A film is called a film if the director had a say in what the audience sees. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to see where you're going with this, I guess. Yes.
My number 1 top pick is the Disney Plus release of Hamilton.
Oh, okay. I've heard a lot of people say this.
And yes, it is it's a splicing of 3 recordings of the Broadway musical with some extra setup shots so they could get close-ups and they could just do some dynamic camera movements as well. And it's fucking great. And it is a film. And yes, it's probably not going to win like best film in any awards because it's in that grey area of, is it a film or is it just a recording of a Broadway musical? And to that I say, there is 3 recordings of a Broadway musical so that the director could pick and choose what the audience sees at any given time. He had the ability to show you what you see, therefore it is a film. I have argued my case before anyone said otherwise.
No, it's been a lot of people's top films of the year, so yeah.
It is great. For those at home that don't know, Hamilton is an American historical fiction musical about Alexander Hamilton. It depicts the life and career of Alexander Hamilton and his effect as one of the unspoken like founding fathers of America. Like, he's not one of the fathers, but he had a hand in like making the American laws and just making everything the way it is, for better and worse. Lin-Manuel Miranda? Oh, I fucked that. I don't know which one that is. That's gonna get me some hate. Never mind my film pick. I might have said the name wrong. Fucking genius. it's so well written. It's all like this rappy musical style. It's spoken very quickly. You need to be paying attention. I tried to show this a couple people, and they were like looking at their phones. And within 20 minutes, I like paused it and was going, "Are you enjoying it?" And they were like, "What? Nah, it's not for me." And it's like, no, of course it's not for you. You're not watching the film, the masterpiece in front of you. You're not giving it the time and respect it deserves. And yes, I am an actor boy, and I do like the acting. And so
I was gonna say, I think it's funny that you picked a very performance-based movie.
yeah,
we
picked
a very
the things that
director-driven
spoke
movie.
to us.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was like, "Hey, this film's production of a play," and you went, "Hey, this cinema spectacle." It's both of us perfect picks for a year where not a lot came out. We picked the best, like the best picks for us.
Yes,
but no, I just it's so good. It's like nearly 3 hours, so it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's like it has an interval in the middle, like a Broadway musical would have. It's a musical. It's a Broadway musical, but
I've always wanted to watch it. To be fair, I always wanted to watch it when it was out. But
it's great.
I should probably watch the Disney Plus version.
Yes. Once all this is over, I want to see the stage production.
Yeah.
But like this was, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, and I hope I don't get any musical fans hate. I think this was the original cast, so this is when Lin-Manuel was still in it, and I think everyone else was in it. And it's just so good. It's so good, and it's just this character, and there's some really emotional bits, and like there's one bit in the second half, which I won't get into, but mate, my heart was in my throat. I was just like, fuck. It's great. It's so good. Okay. That's my number one.
Check it out.
That's it. We did it. We did all 10. We did it.
We got here.
Damn. For those that skipped the end, should we do like a quick rundown 10 to 1?
Let's do a little quick roundup. Yep.
Okay, go for it.
Shall I do mine first and then you do yours? So at number 10 we have Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor. At number 9 we have Remy Weeks' His House. At number 8 we have Turner Ross and Bill Ross's Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets. At number 7, we have Emerald Fennell's Promising Young Women. At number 6, we have Soul, or Pete Docter's Soul, if we're going to keep going with the directing thing. We have, and at number 5, we have Rose Glass's St. Maud. At number 4, we have Jim Cummings' The Wolf of Snow Hollow. At number 3, we have Lee Whannell's The Invisible Man. Number 2, we have David Fincher's Mank, and number 1, Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Nice.
That is my top 10.
I'm not going to tell you the directors because I don't know them, but what I will tell you is where you can find them. So we got Disney Plus's Clouds. We got Netflix's Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Song and Fire. We have Netflix's The Trial of the Chicago 7. We have Netflix's His House. We have Christopher Nolan's Tenet. I don't know where you can find that. You can buy it on Blu-ray, DVD. Maybe it'll come back out in cinema when the next Nolan film comes out. You got the South Korean Netflix Time to Hunt. You've got the Netflix David Attenborough A Life on Our Planet. You have the South Korean Netflix The Cool. You have the Netflix Over the Moon. And you have the Disney Plus Hamilton. It was a strange year, was 2020. And that's why most of my films were on streaming services.
Yep. It's a weird year.
It was so
But we got through it, and there was some decent movies from it. But I can't be having that lack of movies on my list, well, ever again. I won't have it.
Hopefully. You better not. Anyway. Like, that was disgraceful from you. Like, you should have been watching, like...
Yeah, I think I only see, like, 30 in the end for last year. Usually 30? I end up seeing about... usually I end up seeing about 50, 60. Which is crazy. Films from 2020 anyway.
Yeah. There's what? It's 52 weeks in a year? So you didn't even watch a 2020 film once a week.
Yeah, honestly, it was really, really poor. I watched a lot of I did a lot of our old movies during the 2020, really.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't paint you as this naughty person that didn't watch any films. You just watch a lot of classics.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen this year, but it's already March and we're still in lockdown. And the last I saw on the news, it's going to be lockdown until like May. Well, May for cinemas at least.
But hopefully everything comes back to normal and we can watch everything in the cinemas again soon, hopefully. So let's keep positive, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Keep positive. Throw out those positive vibes into the universe.
Should we plug the socials?
Plug the socials. Let's wrap it up. We've been talking quite a while.
We've been talking for ages, so we're going to let, help you guys and from just hearing our fucking voices.
Wrap it up, Charlie. Wrap it up.
Okay, so you can find us on Twitter at FabFilmIsAwful. You can find us on Instagram, Your Favourite Film Is Awful, and Facebook, Your Favourite Film Is Awful, and on YouTube, Your Favourite Film Is Awful, where you can find video versions of the podcast. So please subscribe, comment, do all that jazz. It really helps us. We really appreciate it. Like, even just you guys messaging us in general and commenting, like, it means so much. You have no idea.
Exactly. Let us know on all those socials your top 10 of 2020.
Please do.
20. It's the year far in the future. No, your top 10 of 2020 and any films that you agree or disagree with that are on our lists. We want to hear your opinion.
Please do.
And that was the episode. Thanks for listening. It was a long one. We hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. See you soon.
Later.
Awkward wave. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
What's your favorite?
God, that's awful.
Favorite?
Awful.
Awful.